In this problem, we need to find the markup, and we know that the cost of the store is $75, and we know that the selling price is $112.50. One thing that's not really clear here based on these directions is, do they want the markup as a number of dollars, or do they want the markup as a percent? And they actually want you to calculate it as a percent. It wouldn't be very difficult to figure out the markup in terms of a number of dollars. So let's draw the picture here so we can kind of see what this situation looks like. So I have some starting point here. That bar is going to represent my wholesale price, and my cost to my store is my wholesale price. So that's $75. So here we'll label this wholesale price. And I'm going to mark this thing up by something, and after that I get a selling price of $112.50. So let's add that to our picture. So right here I have $112.50, and that's my selling price or my retail price. So what did I add here? Well, if I just subtract $112.50 minus the $75, that'll tell me how much I mark this up. So basically 75 plus something is equal to $112.50, and you will get that something by itself by just subtracting both sides by 75. So let's work this out. 0 minus 0 is 0. 5 minus 0 is 5. And we got to borrow here. And do some more borrowing. 12 minus 5 would give me 7. 10 minus 7 would give me 3. So as an amount, my markup is $37.50. So $75 plus $37.50 gives me $112.50. But like I said, I really want the percent. And I always start with 100% across from my wholesale price. I'm tacking on something to this thing as a percent. Don't know what it is at the moment. And then I know that after I tack that on, I'm going to end with some percent here that is 100 plus that percent. So since I don't know what this is, I can't fill in this value either. All right, so how exactly do we figure this out? Well, let's go back to our formula, which says that our part is always equal to some percent of my whole. My whole is always going to be my starting point or my wholesale price. That's the first number that comes up in all these transactions. So my whole is going to be 75, and I'm going to multiply that by some unknown percent. I don't know what it is yet. And then after I multiply that by that percent, I'm going to get my part. Now it's up to you in terms of, what number you want to use here for the part. If you use the $37.50, that's going to give you your markup percent right away, which is what we're looking for. So that would make sense to use that. If I wanted to, I could also use this $112.50, but realize that's going to give me this percent right here. It's going to tell me what percent of the 75 I had to pay to get to this 112.50. And then once you get that number, take that number minus the 100%, and you'll get your markup percent that you're really looking for. So here we'll leave this as P. So some percent times 75 gives me 37.50. I'm going to divide both my left and my right-hand side by 75. And now I just need to know what is 37.5 divided by 75. And you can use a calculator on this part. So 37.5 divided by 75. And that gives me 0.5. Now that's in decimal form. 0.5 in decimal form is the same thing as, well, this is as a fraction, 5/10, right? 5/10 is 50 hundredths. This is 50%. So I mark this up by 50%. And that puts this percent here at 150%. So 150% of 75 would give me $112.50, which was my selling price, or 50% of 75 gives me my $37.50, which is my markup amount. So my final answer is that I am marking my item up by 50%. Now, let's take a look at real quick what the proportion would look like. So I am marking this thing up how much for every 100 if I'm marking it up 37.50 for every 75. Solving this proportion will tell me exactly what I would need right here. So cross multiply. 75 times x is 75x. 100 times 37.50 would give me, the decimal is just going to move 2 places to the right here with multiplying by 100, and then divide both sides by 75. And you'll have your answer. 3,750 divided by 75. 3,750 divided by 75 gives us 50. And the nice thing about doing it with the proportion is that, that is your percent because we wrote our x out of 100. So 50 out of 100 is 50%.